Adrienne Duffy and I talk about bold moves. Bold moves are outside your comfort zone. Have a listen. Oh. Do you want to shift your focus from doing work that you don't like to doubling down on your core abilities and interests and make it feel like play again? But how? Today we've got Adrienne Duffy. She's back to discuss this. We had her here where we talked about our core abilities, defining that and the different assessment tools that we can use. And she's a co-founder of Big Futures Inc. She's an innovative leadership coach, speaker, and consultant, and she assists individuals and organizations achieve extraordinary and exponential results. Adrienne, thanks for joining us again.
So great to be back. Always.
So I wanted to continue this conversation because for me, recently, my business partner left me in a mess, and I was 2 years of survival mode, trying to keep the company afloat for one, and also stay out of court and being sued. So with all that, I actually came to a decision or realization that I was doing work I did not enjoy, and it was all done for my previous partner and staff. So I made a really bold move and started to, I want to go back to what I enjoyed and what I was good at. And that was a completely different field. So like a friend told me is, I was providing a service that a lot of people wanted, but I didn't want to provide it. So I got rid of 3/4 of my clients. I got rid of my engineering staff at the time because they only wanted to do new construction, design and work, and I didn't want to do that anymore. I'm going to realign myself with what I was originally known for and what I originally had passion for. So the bold move was saying to clients, I've had 2 clients as like $250,000 a year from them. And they're saying, you don't want my money anymore. I was like, no, I don't, because I don't enjoy the work. But now I'm actually aligning myself with the stuff I enjoy. And the work is falling at my feet like there's no tomorrow. It's like an energy shift. Like it's unbelievable that I was miserable for all those 15 years because I was chasing the money. I was financially successful. I guess my brain was kind of going, hey, you're doing well here. Everyone's coaching me and telling me, keep chasing it. You're going to make more money. But that path for money was not fun. There's a different cost. My health, my relationships, and I just wasn't enjoying myself anymore.
That's a powerful story, Andre. Thank you for sharing that. And there must have been this point of reckoning for you where you were like, okay, I'm lining up all these dots here. I'm looking at what life is informing me of because I've got a report card here on how things are going. And now is the time to realign. Now is the time to get clear about what energy feeds those core abilities and how I can actually be more aligned in my day-to-day. And what's so beautiful about your story is that, yes, a bold move requires a risk because we don't always know exactly how it's going to happen and how it's going to play out. And every one of our listeners is going to have a different way of approaching a bold move in their life, but I would probably guarantee that every listener has made one.
Yes.
It's just their process to take that bold move might be different than someone else. I mean, I know people who make bold moves and they just dive in and then they learn. And I know people that will really be so thoughtful or feeling oriented about that bold move for months and months and months before they take it. But I've never known someone who, if you actually get into a story like you just told, hasn't done a bold move. Generally, there's a point of reckoning where a person realizes that they're so out of alignment with who they are and what they're doing in life that they feel trapped. And when you feel trapped, I don't care who it is, it's not a good place to be. And in a sense, more recently, you were kind of being trapped in some of those situations because the money can look great. However, wait a second. What if I took a bold move and said, this is really what I want to align with? And yes, it might take a couple of months to have that alignment play itself out in life because it's in your imagination before it's reality. But now one of the things I love about your story there, Andre, is that at the end of the day, the work is coming in. That is the faith part.
Yeah.
Where you have to believe in yourself. So how does a person get to believe in themselves? It goes back to our previous episode. You have to understand what those core abilities are and trust that your unique set of core abilities is needed in the world. We actually need to focus on those things. I think we've talked about this before, but one of my favorite Aristotle quote is where the word the world's needs and your talents coincide, therein lies your vocation.
Hmm.
And so what you did is you made the choice and then boom, here we are.
But for me to make that bold move, there's a couple things there. I finally listened to myself after a good 10 years. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
very good at listening to myself. So I finally started to, for me, I was actually listening to my body. Like
Yeah.
I was telling, hey guys, I was at this resort. I was like, or retreat. I was explaining to people my new plans. And then my body, had a sense my body was like tightening up. And I'm like, okay, next time I tell the story, I'm going to feel my body. And then I told it again. And then I was like, hey, my body was saying bullshit. It was calling
Yeah.
bullshit. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? This is a great plan. And this is, if that's not the plan, then that means I have to completely stop my service, lay off my team. And my body went, boing, exactly. I'm like, oh my God. So I texted my wife and we had a good chat via text because I was in Mexico at the time. And it's like, no, it's the right decision because I was not having fun and I knew it. So I started giving myself credit and putting myself first because I was putting myself in front of everyone else, even entrepreneurially in my first careers and most of my life. So putting me first where I want to be happy. And, they always say, you have the bus, you're the driver and people have a choice to be on the seat or not. Well, I let the people in the seats drive the bus for all these years. And I finally took control of the wheel for a metaphor. And it felt right, but it was scary as hell. Because, after 20 some years, you're used to that income and that revenue. And then all of a sudden you're like, now pretty much starting over again. 2 kids about to go to university. Wife starting off her own business. Like,
All the
well,
reasons not to do it, right?
right. But I'm like, but this is kind of when I thrive is when I don't know if I'm going to survive or not.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Interesting.
I need this
Oh my
fear
gosh.
for me to stay alive. So I'm like, that's it. It's the only way to do it. Then when
This
I
is,
started announcing to clients, I'm not using you here. I'm not doing the service. This is what I want to do. Higher level consulting in these fields. Like, oh, good. It's about time. You'll have time for us because that's what we wanted you to do.
wow.
Right.
I didn't even think of this story when we were kind of doing the prep for this interview, but what came to mind when you were sharing that is a bold move that I made many years ago. And that was, I had been an entrepreneur and then there was a major economic downturn. And so I decided, since my business partner is also my husband, that I would take a job for a couple of years and provide some, regular income for us so we could weather the economic downturn and then move on from there. So anyway, my first foray was to be the marketing director for an opera company because I thought, oh, cool, I have this background in music and wouldn't that be fun? I love marketing. So I became the marketing director for a symphony orchestra and that was great for a year.
Yeah.
And then I was
You
like,
lasted a year? What?
I lasted a whole year. And then I went, disqualify. So the cool thing was one of the board members was a program head for the program in teaching business and marketing at a local college. And she offered me a job teaching at the local college. So I'm like, this is right up my alley. I love coaching. I love teaching. This is awesome. The pay was great. I got the summer off. Okay, this is good. So I took the job and I loved working with the students. I mean, it was amazing. But the organizing structure of working at a college
Oh,
was, right? Wings clipped,
yeah.
you know,
Bureaucracy.
bureaucracy, like they're telling me what I have to teach. They're telling me what then I have to mark all the papers. Let's not even go there with my 3 follow through. I was like dying in the water. So anyway, and at the same time, my husband and I had just put in an offer for a house and got it approved because I was working at this college and it was like above board. Anyway, but that summer I was like, I don't think I can go back. So not only are we're going to buy this new house, blah, 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 I'm going to leave and start my own business again, which I did.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very bold move, but I knew in the moment that I could not sustain the energy for another year in that other situation. And we would be okay. I don't know. I just trusted it. So I think to your point on Mexico, there's a point where even if it's a bold move and it requires courage and faith, there's this instinct that we're going to be okay. we're going to be okay with that bold move. It's like moving to another city or changing a job or whatever it might be, even though you don't know with certainty that all of those things are going to work out. There's something inside that says, you know what, it is. And if we don't step back and go inside, we're not going to be able to listen to those things, which you did when you were in Mexico. And what I
Right.
did during that summer, and I'm like, so I resigned from my teaching post. I started a new company. I got all the image going for the new company. I'm like on fire with this idea. And to your point with your change in engineering, the clients started to come in, the energy started to come in. And before, I think it was 8 or 9 months, I was doing better than I would have been doing if I'd stayed in that teaching role.
Right. And then that feeling that you were confident, you just knew it would work. A lot of times we talk ourselves out of it. Like for me, I realized when I got my gut telling me something, I had to understand what the gut was telling me. And if I didn't, I
Right?
would just keep going. So now I kind of say, if my gut's saying something's off, I'm going to trust it. Sooner or later, it's going to come to light why. And I had to have
Yeah.
faith. And just having that knowledge. And then it's either you talk yourself out of it or people who mean well talk you
Oh
out
my,
of it.
yeah.
But in the end, like for me, it's in a way, the universe has been telling me this message for a long time. And then I just been ignoring it. And then finally it gives you a big whack in the side of the head saying, okay, I'm tired here. Figure it out. Yes or
Yeah.
no. Because if not, like, that's kind of like take my diabetes diagnosis, right? Is if you want to live to 130, I've been giving you signs for the last 20 years and you're ignoring it. So boom,
Yeah.
figure it
Life,
out. So I
life
went and
doesn't
figured it out. Yeah.
will give us an indication. And in our previous episode, we talked about core abilities and discerning that. The beauty of that episode is that that gives you the raw material to have more confidence going into the bold moves, because a bold move requires courage. The bold
Hmm.
move, generally, there's no certainty in a bold move. We're just naming something here. It's a change, it's a shift, it's a transition. It's maybe even a transition you didn't choose because you got let go from a job, let's say,
Yep.
hypothetically. And now you have to have a bold move to say, you know what? I wasn't really that happy in that line of work anyway. Thank you for setting me free. So now it's time to actually be more aligned. So the previous episode gave us a lot of raw material for this conversation that we're having. But there's no direct path. We need to
No.
trust, but we can do things to support our confidence going into that change through research, through understanding our core abilities, through talking to people who are in favor of supporting us to live our best life and to be aligned. We aren't going to be talking to people who want to keep us in a box or people who are actually more afraid of that particular change than we would be. We want to be
Yeah.
also maybe around people who've made changes like that already and talk to them. Like, what did you learn? How did it all turn out? Because
That's a really
it's
good point because I've had a couple of engineering friends reach out, say, how did you start your engineering company? Because now, 25 years later, they want to do the same.
exactly. And it's like, oh, we can learn from other people who have done it
Yeah.
and inspire that. And that helps us with the raw material to trust our instinct and make the change when our brain, hello, is telling us that is the craziest thing. Or other people, to your point, around us are telling us it's the craziest thing.
And just, I want the listeners to understand too, is some of our examples of bold moves are pretty big, pretty bold, no pun intended. But a bold move, there's no measure. There's not a certain type of move that considers it bold. Depends on you, your comfort level, the situation, the type of move it is. The bold move I just did last November, I wouldn't have been able to do that 15 years ago when I started my company. There's no way. I couldn't afford it. The situation wasn't right. So I would have done probably a smaller bold move. But what I'm trying to say is a bold move just means it takes courage, uncertainty revolving around it, like Adrienne was saying. So there's no certain size that's considered a bold move. Anything that changes your course, I think, is a bold move. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And sometimes it can be very subtle. It's just as we talked about in our last
Yeah.
episode, a sense of alignment more in a role that you're in right now. And the bold move might be talking to your supervisor or your manager to say, hey, I think I'm capable of more contribution in this company. This is what I see. And can we have a conversation about it? That is a bold move. Like just stating your case so that you can be accountable to being more aligned. And to your point, Andre, your health, your well-being, your energy, your longevity, all of those things are pivotal because when we're in situations where we feel trapped, long term there is a consequence. And whatever that is, whether those steps are big, courageous, bold moves or small steps that you can take in any given day, we could call them all bold moves because they're getting us closer to that alignment. And that
Yeah.
alignment, if we go back to Aristotle, is a good thing because it means that our core abilities can actually create value in the world. And that's why we were born.
And the thing is, I want to go back with trap. You've used that a few times. I think when you feel trapped, one, I think you're working against your grain. You're not doing you're not working within your core abilities frequently. But at the same time, I think you're boxed in by other and external expectations, not yours. So once I started to go with what am I expecting? What do I want to do? I was no longer feeling trapped. Now, bold move to get out of the trap feeling, but I knew I was going the right path. Could I prove it? Could I explain it? No, but I knew it would be proven with time and moving forward with the confidence. And I had a lot of naysayers, even in my own household, because their concerns and fears were valid. But for me, I remember like when I started my first company, we just bought a house similar to yours. We gutted it. I just burned all our life savings to renovate it, to fix it. My wife was 6 months pregnant when I came in and says, I've had enough. I'm going to start my own. I had 3 pages front and back of arguments and counter arguments from her. And all she did looked at me and said, it's about time. Dinner's ready.
It's like,
Right.
yeah.
So now to start a new company, I can't keep a house. I couldn't feed my newborn kid. That gave me a lot of motivation to make it work. Now, not in a healthy way, what I know now today, but at the same time, I'd like to have that little uncertainty of not knowing how it's going to work out because I want to try to see if it'll work or not, rather than being that constant stagnant, it's already working, keep the motion going. Just that is already frustrating me just saying it like this.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and some of that predictability is great. And there's some of our listeners that are wired to really desire that predictability. And so that's great until it's not. That's one of my favorite
correct.
sayings. This is a great core ability. If I overuse it, it's great until it's not. This situation is great until it's not. And when it's not, then we are actually being invited to take heed and make some changes. Because to your point earlier, which I think is crucial and vital, that is that if we go too long in that entrapment, whatever that could look like for any of us, there will be a consequence long term.
Yes. And the other entrapment thing I think we need to be aware of is our own limiting beliefs of ourselves as well.
Right?
That's part of the entrapment.
Yeah. Well, and then we can go back to the great books, like The Growth Mindset and The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Just brilliant, like when you're concerned about making changes, because the beauty of it is that there's never a mistake as long as there's learning.
Exactly.
Never a mistake as long as there's learning. So if the learning comes from the experience that either didn't turn out how you expected or wanted, then we get to revise it and take it with us. To your point a little bit earlier, Andre, you couldn't have made the decision that you made a year ago, 15 years ago,
No.
because you now have had a path of learning through all of these things, seizing and capturing the lessons that gave you a new confidence platform to make a bigger decision, bolder decision than maybe you could have made 15 years ago. It's not like you just started there.
No.
You
Exactly.
made many of them over a period of time, and every one of our listeners has. So one beautiful thing to be able to do is just reflect back. When you know you need to make some kind of change or transition, look back on when you've made those in the past.
And I guarantee you, when you look back at those bold moves, you had full faith in your core abilities. Maybe you didn't know what it was or how or put a vocabulary to it, but I guarantee you, your core ability, you put faith in it, and that's what you relied on. And based on what our conversation with me, like for me to make this shift a year ago, I took ownership of my core abilities. I knew what I'm good at. I know what people are going to resist it, but that means if I got resistance to those areas, I'm doing my core abilities, which is providing value in that certain way, and it's unique to everyone.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
So, any last thoughts on this, Adrienne? Because unfortunately, our time always runs very, very fast.
I know. I think one thing that I'd like to say is that right now we're living in a world of volatility and change. And
Hmm.
what that means is that there are a tremendous number of things that are outside of us, that are outside of our sphere of control. It's really important for all of us to understand that if we tighten the scope and look at what do we have control over, and then we make decisions and choices about that, we become re-empowered, we become re-energized, and we find those areas to create value in the world. So it's really an important time in the world for our listeners, and I will put myself
Hmm.
right in this, to be listening, to be watching, and to be understanding that sometimes we do have to make some shifts and changes to be more aligned. But if we take what we've been talking about around core abilities and other things like that, then we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine.
Exactly.
And don't obsess about all the things that we don't have control over.
Yeah.
Obsess about the things that you do.
Just do it.
Love it.
So, like
Anyway,
you said, like bold moves, it's always towards meaningful work. If you feel trapped, take a look and reassess if you're within your core abilities. And bold is it's outside of your comfort zone. So there's no measure of the size of boldness. Anything that's outside of your comfort zone is a bold move because it's relating to you, your comfort, your situation, and all that. So, do you have a business that suits other people's needs and not your core abilities? Let me know if you do or don't. Send me an email at andretheimpulsivethinker.com. Love to hear from you. And Adrienne, thanks again. Where can people find you?
bigfuturesinc.ca is the website, and my email is Adrienne, ADRIENNE, at bigfutures with an S, Inc.ca. Love to hear from you too.
All right, awesome. And thanks again, listeners, for learning with me. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.